Hi, my name is Danielle Neely, your host of the Industry Edge podcast, where we talk with leaders working in and for some of the hardest working industries such as manufacturing, distribution, construction, and more. This episode is brought to you by K&C Marketing. K&C is a full-service marketing agency that helps B2B industrial companies grow their brand and increase sales. They serve as either a fully outsourced marketing partner or supplement in-house marketing teams. To learn more about K&C's brand development, marketing, and website design services, visit kncmarketingagency.com. Now, today's guest is Israel Woodson, a God-centered entrepreneur who built HydroCare professional cleaning services from the ground up and has been serving Middle Tennessee for over 13 years. Raised with little, he worked hard, respected others, and believed anything is possible if you want it bad enough. He is a father to 3 girls and has been married to his wife, Robin, for 30 years. Israel, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. So the first question is pretty easy. So just tell me a little bit more. I gave a little bit of an intro, but a little bit more about you and HydroCare and kind of how you help people.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Um, HydroCare is a cleaning and restoration company. We focus primarily on floor care, janitorial, different aspects of pretty much anything you can think of regarding cleaning. It was not primarily one of those things that I had focused on at the very beginning, um, but it kind of was one of those things that I knew that once I had seen the opportunity of being able to help others, I definitely wanted to dive all in. So it started when I was 18 years old. It was one of those things where of course, back then we don't have the tools that we have today, but back when I was 18, it started in pretty high-end hotels. Pretty much anything you touched could be easily damaged. Um, Met people from Hollywood, from all kinds of different aspects of life. It was a phenomenal start to what would eventually lead me into where we are today. So, of course, a lot of that was elbow grease, learning how to clean things that you knew that if you did the wrong thing, it was going to probably cost you a lot of money, maybe even your job. So, it was one of those where you learned it right the first time, and then it led you into developing it to where it could be utilized in not just commercial, but also residential. So, of course, there's a whole different bunch of stuff that happened in my life, as you know, Danielle, that happened as I got to cleaning and doing different things. I kind of led me into doing different parts of my life. Law enforcement was one of those. And then it kind of led me into starting HydroCare, um, and haven't looked back. I mean, it's been one of those things that have been amazing for us. Obviously, the very first thing, it's not a secret. I mean, HydroCare is definitely, God has blessed us above and beyond anything I could ever imagine. Um, but a lot of it also starts with HydroCare has always been grounded on trust, integrity, which a lot of it is all stemming from law enforcement career, um, meeting everybody from all different facets of life. And it ends up creating a great opportunity to develop stronger integrity, customer service,
Mhm.
trust in people. Um, Number one, more than anything for HydroCare has always been that we build relationships.
Yeah.
Uh, it always has been, and it will continue to always be that way. Relationships are the primary thing for me when trying to help people. You're talking about when we started HydroCare, I knew immediately that you're developing a situation where you're going into people's homes where it's their place of refuge. I
Mhm.
mean, it's their place of peace. It's
Mhm.
where they go home and uh, relax, and they're inviting you into their space, which to do that, they've got to believe as well as trust and know that you're looking out for their best interest.
Mhm.
Um, in whatever that might be, whether that's trying to help them save money or time. Um,
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to businesses, you're trying to become part of their vision. They've got
Mhm.
a vision that they've created for their business, and you're trying to come into the middle of that and try to help, not only help cast that vision, but also kind of become that team member with them and reach that ultimate goal that they're looking for. So,
Absolutely. That's
yeah,
that's that's so true too. Like that's something that stands out to me about specifically what you do. Like cleaning, not only, commercial spaces, people's businesses, there's a lot of like, and then also people's homes because you do residential as well. There is such a immense amount of trust and comfortability that you need to have with people, and not only just with you as the business owner, but your teammates as well, of like people feeling comfortable about who they're letting into their home, into their businesses. It's such a
yeah,
big responsibility and honor and just respect, they're trusting you with your business. So that just speaks volumes about how you operate and the way, like, in the level of service and integrity that runs through your operation. So that is amazing. One of my questions, I feel like you kind of answered it with your answer there, but what is the secret sauce? Like there's a lot of different cleaning companies out there. There's really large ones, like mega ones that people know about, but then there's
yeah.
also middle size and smaller ones. What do you feel like your secret sauce is to building that trust and the longer term relationships with your customers?
Well, I mean, I think honestly, the probably the greatest theologian of all time, Spider-Man, kind of said it best. I think that with great power or great response, comes with great responsibility. I
Mhm.
think that when people allow you to be able to enter their space, I think they're giving you an opportunity that you need to respect. Um, you're there because you're trying to help them in something or whatever that might be in regards to the cleaning that they've either maybe tried themselves, or that in a commercial setting where they highly value what you're bringing to the table. um, there's a high level of respect with that.
Mhm.
um, you're talking about, especially if you're getting the opportunity to meet business owners like myself, they've put a lot of sweat, equity, time, into this business, and they're allowing you to have that opportunity to come in and help them in an area where they need it.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, with great power comes great responsibility. Um, I think one of the things is that I don't know that it's really a huge secret, but it is one of those things that gets talked about a whole lot. And I'm finding that the more that you talk to people, we just did a huge expo, like a home and garden expo, and got to talk to people. And one of the number one things I think people are talking about the most is the lack thereof, really, of customer service.
Mhm.
You know, it used to be a bigger deal.
Mhm.
Um, and I do believe customer service uh, is separate than the relationships that we build with people. But it definitely falls right with the level of respect that I think you ought to have for people, in when you're trying to create a service for somebody,
Yep.
and an end result that is satisfying not only to yourself but also to the people who have hired you or asked you to come in and take care of, their business or their home. So, customer service and relationships are probably, if there's a secret sauce to HydroCare, it would definitely be that. I am always constantly focusing on building the relationship first before I'm trying to get an invoice. I legitimately walk into businesses or homes, and I really legitimately want to know who they are.
Mhm.
Like, how did you start your business? What made you want to start this business? We talk about things. The thing is, I want to talk about them and their business and what they've created and what they've been able to do before I start trying to throw numbers and
Mhm.
invoices or estimates or, hey, this is what it's going to cost you. I think that to me is just a Some people are ready for that right off the bat, but I kind of like the strategy of being able to create that connection with somebody first, and I think that's the sauce. Not a lot of what we do is people talk about us because of the connections that we've made with people. You're talking about customers that we've had, Danielle. We've got a lot of customers that have been with us for since the beginning.
Hmm.
We're cleaning businesses that have been with us for 10 plus years, and all that is stemming from that it wasn't the invoice that I threw in front of their face first. It was a matter of being able to connect with them on a one-on-one level, respect their time, respect them as a person,
Hmm.
and then bring that customer service that, look, uh, we're here to serve you.
Yep.
You asked us to be here. We're here to serve you. And what can we do to meet that expectation? Because that's ultimately what we're wanting to do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so true. And having those long-term customers that have been with you from the beginning speaks, so much to your level of service and that like that's the proof. The proof is in the pudding. It's right there.
Yeah.
So that's something that's interesting to me. So when you are meeting with if we're talking about a commercial customer, a potential customer, what state are they currently in that you've seen over time when you've had these kinds of meetings and these consultations with people? Is it, they've lost a cleaner because they were unreliable, or is it they've never invested in a professional cleaning service before and they've tried to manage it themselves? Or what is kind of the common things that you're seeing when you have that first meeting with somebody?
A lot of times it's a matter of that they've grown to the point where they've tried it themselves,
Mhm.
and they've grown to the point to where they've realized unless it's the owner that is there scrubbing the floor and cleaning it, um, they realize that they've got to have help to
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah.
Um, and there's only so much time, even though we feel like we have a lot of time. I don't know of anybody around there walking around with a suitcase full of extra time. And
Mhm.
so when you're trying to run a business, or you're trying to cast vision, whatever you're trying to do for your business, it's very difficult for you to stop as the owner or general manager to begin to do the floor cleaning and sanitizing and keeping things orderly, which, believe it or not, is one of the number one things people are noticing and recognizing as soon as they walk in their business.
Mhm.
What's sad is that 70% of the people are not going to walk up to that owner or that general manager and say, "Hey, your bathrooms are dirty and it was disgusting," or it has a bad smell, or there's only about 33% of the people that actually will come up to an owner and say, or a general manager and say, "Hey, you know, the cleanliness of your business is what's keeping it from growing any more than what it is."
Mhm.
Um, but yet there's so many people that it affects,
Yep.
and they're analyzing just like they analyze me when I walk in. You've got a small amount of time that people are looking at me to see if whether or not I'm professional. Am I, am I going to be able to speak well, talk to somebody, and be able to deliver what they're looking for, and it
Mhm.
not sound like just kind of a sales pitch, you
Yep.
know? Because I think people sometimes, especially business owners, they can see through that stuff,
Mhm.
and so you've got to be able to meet them where they're at, and they realize that there's a value to it. It needs to be done, and they know that it's a huge part is the cleanliness, and the representation of what people see as soon as they walk in is important, and
Yep.
they realize they do not have the time to do it, and
Mhm.
it needs to be done on a professional level. So they begin to look for somebody like us to
Mhm.
come in and analyze what they've got going on, how to meet those expectations of what they really want. And a lot of times we notice that it's the corners that get missed. They'll get the primary walk areas, or they'll get that gets to looking somewhat decent, but they don't realize a lot of times that HydroCare is solely focused on not missing those corners and being able to completely focus on an overall deep clean of your facility, which is totally different than a mopping method theory. You're talking about a mopping method theory that's been around since the mid 1700s. It's never changed. It's always been the same. Maybe chemicals have changed here and there, but it, I think a lot of times they put so much value in that must be enough without realizing that you're still only just moving it around.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so much that it can pull off the floor, and you
Yep.
need that real deep, solid clean. And it usually gets people to a threshold, business owners, general managers, they get to that threshold of realizing that this isn't working and I don't have any more time to do it. And so they need somebody like HydroCare to come in and get to where they want it to be.
Yep.
And so that's I think a lot of times that's what business owners or uh, they know that there's the value, but they have to get to the point to where they realize that what they're doing isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, the reason why tools and uh, not just the tools, but the different solutions that we use and things that have adjusted over time since the mid 1700s that we can actually uh, get a much deeper clean and a smell and a result that they're wanting.
Yep. That's so
Mhm.
interesting. That's something that I obviously know, but like right when you said that, I'm like, that is so true. If you walk into a business or a store, if you're going shopping, if you're going to a restaurant, that guest experience and that customer experience, right? It starts right when they walk through the front door. And then there's various areas throughout your entire facility or your business that somebody could potentially be getting deterred and never come back to your facility or reuse you for business again because of the lack of care in those environments. A stinky a bathroom, like that is, a huge one. And we all know it. We've gone to the same places over and over, and you're like, dang, this bathroom always, like it always stinks. And you remember it and it does deter you. And that can completely affect your customers and whether or not they're going to come back or not. So that's so
Yeah.
interesting. That's so
Well,
interesting.
you're talking about Danielle, where even in a let's just speak of it as a in a house setting, the number one place, or I say number one place, when buying a home, it's just just truly it's usually the female who's buying the home. It's usually the wife that's buying the home. And the two places that they're focused on the most when they go and look at a house is bathrooms and kitchens.
Mhm.
And that's just where they want it to be, where it's going to be functional. It meets their livelihood, their standards of what they're looking for. Obviously the living room's a huge deal, but those two things are primary. That's why majority of the money that's spent in designing and doing is in the bathrooms and the kitchen. So
Mhm.
you've got these businesses where you've got people coming into these businesses, and I don't believe, based on what everybody else in this what everybody else talks about as far as when they walk into these businesses, I don't think the owners realize just exactly what how it's affecting them if their business isn't clean. And a
Mhm.
lot of times they don't want to spend the money toward that,
Mhm.
but because they think that what they're doing is sufficient. But there's so many people that we come in contact with, that I come in contact with, that talk about, hey, I went over here and I ate at this place, or I went over here and I walked into this business and I gave them, your contact information, or I told them about HydroCare because I walked into their bathrooms, which, in our in HydroCare standard, that's where everything begins. That's where all the bacteria starts. That's where everything kind of leads out of the bathroom and works its way through your business. And if people are walking in there and they're going to your restroom and it's absolutely disgusting because it's not being cleaned properly, it just puts a bad taste. There's a lot of people that don't even go to certain places because they've judged it the first 10 minutes that they're there, and sometimes even turn around, walk away, and didn't even say anything to anybody, and they leave
Mhm.
and never come back again.
Right.
So it is, and here's the thing: the more that not only is Middle Tennessee growing, we're getting a lot of people moving into here. So you're getting more people going in and out of these places. your time sitting and waiting to even get a table is getting longer. So
Mhm.
the bathrooms are getting used twice as much. The more people are coming in and dirtying up the floor. There's just more and more traffic.
Mhm.
And everybody's finding less time, even though there's still 24 hours in a day. There's less time that we can try to grab a hold of.
Mhm.
And I do feel like businesses are getting better and better at it and realizing that they've got to get that deeper clean. There's just too much activity, too much going on, and they've got to get it, you know, get a better deep clean on it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that's what we're seeing or at least hearing out there in public. That's a huge thing right now.
Yep, for sure. What do you, so this is kind of going back, which we talked a little bit before we started recording about family and our kids and everything like that. How have you kind of shifting it from your service offering and customers? How have you as a person and as a business owner, you know, while raising a family, like you were in the thick of raising your three girls during like probably the core building of your business, how have you been able to focus on both, like without letting one take over, one or the other take over?
Um, it's a great question. When building HydroCare, obviously you do. You spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of involvement in it, trying to get it to take off, and you realize you're getting a lot of no's at the very beginning and very few yeses. Um, and then it begins to change, and people get to know who you are at HydroCare. They get to know who I am. They start investing in you and believing in you and believing in what you deliver. And then all of a sudden you realize you've got to be able to balance both personal and business. Everything in life is about a balance. You've got to be able to figure out how to do it both. And I really do believe that what has been successful for me is having a great support team. Um, my wife is a huge part of what we do and helps me in being able to uh, kind of help keep that balance. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, my kids, as they were growing up, um, the connection and family connection that we have that we had talked about before, it's a huge part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
We had talked about before where you have to nurture those relationships and you have to be a part of what your family's doing. And um, if you want that connection and want to be able to develop it, you've got to put the effort in it as much as you are your business. And
Yep.
I will tell you that I think every business owner that's out there will tell you that it's a challenge. It's tough being able to balance that out.
Yeah.
And you don't do it perfectly, but you know that you want a connection with your family. You've got the support system. They're encouraging you and reminding you that that they need some of your time too.
Mhm.
And I feel like we've been pretty successful at that. My wife and I, we've done pretty good. I've got three girls. They're 25, 22, and 14. I, I will tell you that my oldest is uh, went into some community college. She's a dental assistant. She's just killing it right now. She's doing great. She's successful in her own rights, and she's full of energy and loves her family. They're all three of my girls constantly want to be involved in our family and functions, and I I have often people ask me, really, your kids want to come home? Like, they want to be at your place rather than going other places? And I'm like, yeah, they want to be at my house. They want to be where they feel peace and they feel valued, because we did spend the time necessary as they grew up. And I'm not saying that we did anything absolutely 100% perfect because we don't. My wife and I didn't, um, but I tried to take this same approach of building HydroCare and its fundamental purpose and moved that same kind of process over to my family. That if I want it to be, healthy, I want it to be successful, I've got to be able to work on it as much as I do my business.
Yep.
And I feel like we did great with that. My youngest daughter as well, just, she's obviously that age gap we talked about, but she's very connected. It's one of those things where um, we're constantly focusing on them, not just kind of developing them though in a way to where they are ready to leave home. And that takes time and preparation and talking to them. And it's like one of those things I always tell our guys here at HydroCare and our girls at HydroCare, that be confident, be be secure in knowing what you know,
Mhm.
and that you are delivering a message to people that they need, but do it with a humble attitude, and look at them in their face when you're talking to them. Be eye to eye contact. Respect them to know that you're going to look at them, and do not be talking on your phone or texting or doing any of that stuff. And a lot of those standards that we built with HydroCare, I've passed those on with my family, and
Mhm.
making the time to go on vacations and be with them and make them just as important. Before you know it, they're gone,
Yep.
and you have lost those moments, um,
Love
so
that.
being able to build both, I feel like we've done a pretty good job at it, but it just takes, you have to make it a priority, and you
Mhm.
have to be able to set the phone down and uh, just jump all in like you did with your business and with your family.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I mean, 13 years, you've been 13 years in business and you're still
Yeah.
growing. And then your girls want to come home on the weekends, especially in college, and that's where they
Yeah.
find peace. You clearly did a lot of things right. Nobody's perfect, but absolutely, it sounds like you and your wife, Robin, did a lot of things right for your business and with your family so far. So that is amazing. Well, that was great. So to wrap it all up, we've been talking with Israel Woodson, the owner of HydroCare Professional Cleaning Services. Israel, can you tell us where we can learn more about you if somebody's interested in your services, where we can learn more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can visit our website at www.hydrotn.com. That's hydrotn.com. You can also call our office 615-547-6100. Of course, we take care of commercial and residential, so we'd be happy to help out. We're locally owned right here in Middle Tennessee. We're not a massive franchise, Danielle, so we're not like 150 strong or nothing, but we are a company that can handle pretty much anything that we could help you with. The good thing about that is 98% of the time you're going to get connected to the owner, the one that started it all. You're not just a number or an invoice with HydroCare. We actually do, like we talked about, build relationships. We want that connection with people. And if you have the ability to be able to uh, need a couple more questions asked or anything like that, you're actually getting to the core of what all started HydroCare. So yeah, that's the easiest way, is by going to our website, our phone number. You can always reach out to us and come out and take a look and see how we can help you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show today. This was great.
Thanks, Danielle. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you.